Good morning, everyone. There are a few more students still have to join the meeting. Let's see. Yeah, I actually got a news from the ICITB regarding the previous batch students also have joined the meeting today. So I warmly welcome all of you. Can one of you switch on your microphone and introduce yourselves and tell me what are the parts that you want me to cover during this session?
Morning, sir. Hello, just
Yeah,
going to the YouTube.
I can't hear you properly. Can you speak little louder?
Can I text you because my microphone is
Okay,
working now?
okay, send a message on group chat. And others, Nuan, Kalana, and Shamod, can you send a message on group chat asking other two people to join? Okay, I will start my session. So people who log in later can have the recording to refer. So let's start today's session. Let me share my screen first. Okay, last week we started discussing about UX design process. So these were the topics we covered last week. We talked about what is UX process and methods used and how to apply the UX design process practically. And also we talked about what is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking. And then we discussed about how to conduct user interviews and do competitive analysis. And also we talked about creating personas, creating user flows prior to starting off with your designs. So I hope everyone from the previous batch also covered this topic. So I'm not going to mention those again. In today's session, we are going to cover color psychology and color theory, as well as typography, style guide, UX laws, and creating wireframes. During our previous two sessions, I actually covered these topics roughly, but we are going to go more in detail to each of these topics today. So starting off with what is color psychology? So as you can see, it is a branch of psychology studying the influence of colors on human mood and behavior. The thing is that our mind reacts to colors while we usually do not notice it. The moment our eyes perceive color, they connect with the brain, which gives signals to the endocrine system, releasing hormones responsible for the shifts in moods and emotions. So if you guys refer to our classroom on Google, let's, so I have added few book suggestions last week here. So if you go through this layout, I actually added PDF versions as well. So you get to know that the connection of psychology and human thinking, how to understand human behavior, and how we can use it in our design to get better results. So I invite all of you to read these books, and these are some other book suggestions. As a designer, you have an understanding about user psychology, business goals, as well as uh, everything that uh, under the creativity field. So you need to understand humans. So in that case, the science we can understand humans is psychology. So you have to have a good understanding about user psychology and how they react, how they think, how they behave in particular situations. So by reading these books and by following these guidelines they have given, you will have an understanding about the user psychology as well. Moving on, uh, here, as we can see, the red color uh, is actually a universal sign to a universal color to signal danger. For example, even in traffic lights and even in stop signs we can see in road, we can see the color red, so it automatically notify us we have to be cautious, or we have to be careful, uh, and we automatically react to that particular color. So the hospitals also use the same color. You know that hospital logo, the plus sign in red color, is also used in red color to demonstrate the danger or uh, warn you about the institution. So meaning of colors to convey the right tone, message, and call users to make the expected action. Designers need to understand what colors mean and what reaction they evoke. So all the colors we use in our designs represent some kind of a human emotion. So for example, let's say red color we talked about, it means danger, uh, warning, or that kind of thing. And green color is related to success, and yellow color is something we give warnings or notifications for our users. So let's start with the red color. Red color is usually associates with passionate, strong, or aggressive feelings. So it symbolizes both good and bad states of mind and soul, including love, confidence, passion, and anger. In design, the use of red color is an effective way to draw users' attention. Also, it's recommended to use red sparingly to avoid negative reactions. So the red color associates with passionate, strong, or aggressive feelings. It can be a good mood or a bad mood. For example, uh, the red color, we use it to show the danger, as well as some of the applications use it to be passionate or give an aggressive message to users. And also love, confidence, passion. Those feelings are also associated with the same red color. And also we can use it sparingly. That means we can use it with other colors to avoid negative reactions. For example, let's say you have a form that you want to you have an account on Facebook. So if you want to deactivate your account in Facebook or any other platform, the button they give to account closure is in red color. Either it can be labeled in red color or it can be in a red color background. So you know that you are doing some dangerous or some cautious thing because you won't have access after you delete your account. So you can do that as well. So in here we have a red color background application. This one actually designed to uh, communicate with the user. Like it gives a message, the passionate feeling, aggressive feeling about the application loaded in this form. And also it can be used to show error states. So when you are filling a form, sign up form or anything, if the username or the password or any other field, email, anything is invalid, we can show it in red color and we can show them a message, uh, enter a valid email address. The validation can be done using red color uh, as a state. So we can use emotional response. Especially, I think you have interacted with Instagram. So when you double tap on a post, it will show you the red color heart. So that is also they are to represent these emotional feelings and passion in the design. they have developed. And also in the shopping applications, in here we have shopping application for Apple products. So if you want to remove that particular device from your cart, you have to click on the red color cross icon, so which also represents you are doing something dangerous or something similar. So remove item from a cart is colored in red. And also when, as I said earlier, in order to close an account also, they give close account button in red color. So here the asked me to send the link to Classroom. I will ask the administration to add you to that group after the lecture or in the break. So potentially dangerous action can be represented using red color as I discussed earlier. And now let's go to orange color. It is an energetic and warm color, bringing the feelings of excitement. Orange combines red's power and yellow's friendliness, so it may bring feelings of motivation, enthusiasm, and love to life. Designers use the color if they need to give the spirit of creativity and adventure. So the yellow color represent something in between. Sorry, orange color represents something in between red and yellow. So you may come across yellow color and you may feel motivated, enthusiastic, and uh, that kind of a positive feeling when you interact with yellow color themed system. So these are some use cases of yellow color. In this card, the buy now button, even add to cart button is using orange color. I'm sorry. So orange color. The add to cart button is using low shade of yellow color, orange color, whereas buy now button is full orange color. And in here we discuss about yellow color. In yellow, this is a color of happiness, which symbolizes the sunlight, joy, and warmth. Yellow is thought to be the easiest color to visibly see. What's more, it has one of the most powerful psychological meanings. Users seeing yellow color in the design can feel inspiration and confidence. Although you need to remember that too much yellow may bring negative reactions, such as the feeling of anxiety or fear. So when you are using these kind of like red, orange, or even yellow color, you always have to make sure you use it with a combination of different color. For example, if you are using yellow color, most of the designs that comes with yellow color have black color associated with it. So black and yellow is something that most of the applications use to represent inspiration, confidence, and give a bold message to users. As well as in the first lecture, I told you about we have to design for everybody. So you have to consider accessibility as well. So the yellow color is something that most of the visually impaired people can be able to see, not as a yellow color, but a dark color. So but you have to make sure you're not using too much of one color, and you have to always use combinations of different colors to give your message to users. Here we have a yellow color text, so it shows a bold message. It is kind of like motivating the user and do the communication that the advertiser required. And if we take green color, it is often called the color of nature, balance and harmony. Green brings of growth and inexperience. It has more positive energy than most other colors we discuss, but sometimes it associates with materialism. Designing green colors perfectly suits the products connected with nature, calming and renewing feelings. Also, it is a sign. So if we take green color, the green color is what we can see in nature. So it represents nature, balance, and harmony. So it gives positive energy for users when we compare it to other colors. That is why we are using green color to show success message. Yeah, if users do some action successfully, we show the message in green color accent, the green color text or green color background. Even the icon can be green color. So design in green colors perfectly suits the products connected with nature. So I think you have seen it in most of the eco-friendly products. So even Uber has green color, black and green accent, and also if you take a ride-sharing application like Grab, it has green color. So that is the feeling that developers or designers want to give their users by selecting that particular color. So this is also an website that represent nature. So it uses green color, the green color background, uh, green color photo to represent the nature. And as you can see, they use red and green in the same layout to give their message to users. So success state can be represented using green color. So in this particular uh, pop-up, they have shown green color text, green color button, and also the green color icon to represent the successful action that users took. And in the submit button also, we can use green color as a final action of some user flow. And here also we can show green color uh, in a Likert scale. For example, if we go far left, we can show it another color like yellow. And if we go far right and select must have, we can give that field mandatory and make it red color. In between, we can give it a good deal and show them it in green color. So in Stripe is also a payment gateway. So they use these kind of colors like blue, the violet color, and also green color shades. So while red means stop, green means go. That's why green can be used to encourage users to participate in some activity. For example, Stripe prompt users to sign up with green buttons. So in here we have green buttons, which used by Stripe to ask users to start with creating their accounts. And if you go to account like Slack, they are using green color to highlight a particular chat or the active chat you are in. So they are using it to highlight and show the state and show the navigation of the application, where you are, you are interacting with, and so on. In here also, we have two different layouts. The first one has green color get started now button, and second one has red color get started now button. So in here, what I wanted to show is that most of the users, when we do A/B testing, A/B testing is something that we do when we publish our product. So what we're going to do is we come up with two different designs, and we can give a percentage. So for example, we give 50% users the green color button and 50% users the red color button. So the conversion rate will be high if we give them a green color button rather than the red color button. So we should choose those colors effectively when we are designing our UI for an application. Now let's talk about blue color. So blue color is often representing some corporate images, since blue is the color of trust. It usually shows reliability, may give users calming feelings. However, as a cool color, it also associates with the distance and sadness. So designers need to keep it in balance. So two applications that use blue color that comes to mind is Facebook and LinkedIn. So the Facebook is using it to show the trust and reliability, as well as LinkedIn is more corporate application. They also wanted to show the professionalism, reliability, and developing trust among users. So that is why those applications are using blue color as their main accent color. But you have to make sure that you keep those colors in balance. So if you go to LinkedIn or Facebook, they are not only using blue color, they are using blue color. If you take the light color theme, they are using blue color with white color background and black color text or darker text. And if you take dark color theme, they are using black color background with blue color accent and also white color text. So you have to make sure you combine different colors with one color, even if it is red, yellow, orange, green, or blue, as we discussed. Here we have a design that background has blue color and the text is white color. So it is contrasting and you can easily see and you can read it clearly without any issue. And then we are going to discuss about purple color. So purple is actually long associated with royalty and wealth since many kings wore purple clothes. It's useful for presenting some luxurious products. It's also a color of mystery and magic. It mixes the energy of red and blue, so it has balance of power and stability. A big concentration of the color may distract users' mind. So if we take purple color, so specific brands that associate with luxury or royalty will use that product, use that particular color. So it represent mystery or magic. But you have to be careful because purple is some contrasting color. You have to use it wisely. You only have to use some accents. For example, if we go to this particular image, the Slack default layout background is purple color. So they have added like pastel color kind of like background, not the high contrast purple color to represent that. So color combination is important because it will uh, distract users if you are using too much of one color. So in here we have a color combination of green and also the purple color and its shades. Now it's pink color. It is the color of hope, sensitivity, and romance. Pink is much softer than red, so it creates a sense of unconditional love. Pink is associated very strongly with youthful femininity. It may be an effective color if that target audience is mostly girls and young women. So as you have seen in most dating applications or anything that girls use, the colors, even the digital, not only digital products, most of the physical products have the pink color. So they want to communicate, like they want to express femininity as well as sensitivity, romance, and those feelings to their target users. So the application I asked you to create a portfolio last week, Dribble, is also using the pink color accent. In that case, they want to demonstrate creativity, sensitivity, and they want to create like bold experience for their users. And here we have application that represent I think this is a chocolate store, so most of the girls are associated with this kind of a background. So as we discussed in the first two lessons, when we do the market research, when we do competitor analysis, when we do user identification, uh, so we interview with our users and we have to identify who most of our users are. So they might have identified their users are girls or who is expecting to see this kind of a layout. So that is why this design is the one they have selected. And when we talk about brown color is the color of security and protection, like the Mother Earth. Designers commonly use brown as a background color in a variety of shades, from very light to deep. It brings the feeling of warmth and comfort to the designers. Also, it may be used to show experience and reassurance. Here, in a like luxury brands, especially gold sellers, they are using gold color or the brown shade to represent their products. So it gives the users the warmth and comfort and experience as well as reassurance through the user interfaces that they present. And black color finally, this color has a great number of meanings. It associates with tragic situation and death. It signifies a mystery. It can be traditional, modern, serious. Everything depends on how you employ it and which colors go with it. Black matches well with any other color, so it's ideal for a background. Designers often use it to set contrast. So black color, especially with the dark mode themes, actually dark mode themes introduced to reduce users' carbon footprint. You know that when we are using mobile application or any screen, in its full brightness and in white color background, we like it emit so much of ultraviolet like white color to the nature. So if we are using black color background, we are not consuming that much of energy from our battery, and also we are not emitting so much of brightness to the nature. So that is why black color themes are popular, and it is also easier to use when comparing to white ones in the outdoor situations. So black color themes represent traditional, modern, and serious feelings, and also it is ideal for background. And designers nowadays often use black color as their background color when considering black and white. And white color, on the other hand, the color means purity and innocence, as well as wholeness and clarity, which often associates with a blank sheet of paper, motivating people to generate new ideas. However, too much white can cause feelings of isolation and emptiness. In design, white is commonly used as a background color, especially for the resources for which repeatability is a vital part. So as you can see, the uh, background colors we using mainly are black and white. So most of the applications have light theme and dark theme these days. So if you go with a white theme, light theme, the ideal background color should be white. So it comes with the purity, innocence, and wholeness and clarity. But also you have to make sure you are not using too much of white color, and you have to make sure you use some color shades for to increase readability as well as to not uh, make users understand what the message you want to give and contrast your content from the background white color. In here we have a black and white design. So the white color was used as a background and black as the foreground color. So those were the colors and their meaning that we want to discuss in our session. So in here we are talking about color meanings in branding. So colors are vital factor for not only the visual appearance of products, but also brand recognition. In branding, colors tend to have more direct meanings that in common understanding. They can be briefly described within a few words. So here is a list for you. So when you are seeing a particular brand, you know that what color they are representing. Let's say, for example, when you see McDonald's logo, you know that it is yellow color, and their branding is black and yellow or white and yellow. So if we take another brand like KFC, so it is red color. So you know that their products will be in red and white or red and black. So different brands use different colors to represent and recognize their brand. So as these are the colors we discussed. So the red color represent confidence, youth, and power, whereas orange, friendly, warm, and energetic. Yellow, happiness, of optimism, and warmth. Green, peace, growth, and health. And blue color, trust, security, and stability. Purple, luxurious, creative, and wise. Black color, reliable, sophisticated, and experienced. White, simple, calm, and clean. So up until now, is everything clear? If you have any questions regarding today's session or any other thing, you can ask now. Kalana?
Yes, it's okay, no problem.
Okay. How about Chamod?
All clear, sir.
Okay. Fatima?
Clear, sir.
Okay. Let's ask Anjali. How about you?
All are clear, sir.
Okay. Hirti?
Yes, sir, I'm fine about this.
Okay. How about Isuri?
Okay.
Okay. Sumudu? Any
Sir,
questions? Okay. Okay, let's move forward. So if you have any questions regarding your previous sessions, also regarding your career, you can send me a message on Zoom group chat. So here we are going to discuss about color preferences. Blue is the top color. Both men and women of all ages think of blue as a favored color. Brown and orange are in dislike. The first one considered less favorable among men, the second among women. So color preferences. So when we are designing or developing an application, a physical or digital application, digital product, we have to represent, we have to communicate with all the users. So we just can't ignore one set of users and do our design. So we have to think about colors and the UI that represent each and every users. It can be female, male, people with disabilities such as visual impairments, motor impairment. We have to consider all these people and include them in our design. So we have to make sure we do the designs for all these users. So in that case, this is a research findings. So the blue is a top color. Both men and women of all ages think of blue as a favored color, whereas brown and orange are in dislike. Brown color considered less favorable among men, whereas the orange is less favorable among women. Cool colors are preferred. Men and women favor blue, green, and their tints in general, rather than warm colors. So the cool colors are preferred rather than warm colors. Women like tints. Uh, when men prefer pure or shaded colors, ladies are good with tints, lighter value than the hue of that color. So if we go to like LinkedIn Blue or any other application, if like men prefer pure colors, but the women might prefer lighter shades of same color. Men prefer achromatic colors. White, black, and gray are neutral colors, and men are keen to choose them. So men prefer those like achromatic colors, whereas the others prefer more like colors which has more hue and lighter colors such as pink, red, green, and so on. In here, in the graph, it is also mentioned that 57% of men like blue color and 35% blue, and most of the men like black, gray, brown colors. Also, women prefer these shades, purple color, and so on. So when we are selecting colors, these are some points we should consider. Number one is color psychology is rather complex to understand and learn. However, it may become an efficient tool to design in designers' hands, helping to understand users and their demands. So when we are selecting colors, we always have to do our research. Let's say we want to develop a ride-sharing application or something similar to that. So what we can do is we can do our research as we discussed in our previous sessions. So we can have to do user interviews, we have to do competitor analysis, and we come up with a set of few colors that different competitors are using. And then we should study why are they using this particular color and not the other color. So by doing that, and also by identifying our users' demographics, we can identify what are the colors that our users will prefer, what they will like. So we can consider those users' demands and understand the colors we have to use in our system. And then we have to choose colors wisely. They have a deep influence on the users. So by identifying your users and what are how they behave, how they interact with your system, you can choose the color that will be more effective in your system. So you have to consider your users through whole process. So, and also you have to make sure your design and its color convey the right message and tune. So for example, let's say you decided to go with blue color, and then you have to design it accordingly. Like you can't use the blue color in your complete design. You have to match your colors. You have to do combination of colors. For example, you have to go with some percentage of white color, some percentage of black color, and so on. So you have to adjust your colors and balance your colors to convey the right message and in right tune to the users. As I discussed, we have to learn our target audience. The color preferences and meanings depend on many factors, including age, gender, and culture. So, for example, if you are using colors such as red or orange or something similar to that, there might be religious attachment to that color. So you have to make sure to understand your users and use the colors accordingly. So some users might like the color, but some might get offended by having that color in the application. So you have to always research about your users and understand their needs and come up with the color that most users prefer. And also some colors may look different on the screens of different devices. Additional testing never hurts. So if you know that most of our screens, especially nowadays, they have like similar colors, like for example, they use RGB colors. And when, for example, if you use RGB and design a layout to print, so the colors you see in the screen won't show up in your printout. So you have to make sure you do the testing, or you do the testing in different devices when you are shipping your product. So in that case, you have to consider people with visual impairment as well as motor impairment and so on. So they should also be able to see your screens properly without any issue. And next one, it may be a good idea to test the UI colors with representatives of the target audience. So in the project like uh, design thinking process and also UX design process, we discussed that intervention of users. So we always during the process, even after we design a wireframe, even after we design a low fidelity prototype or high fidelity prototype, we always have to make sure we send them to users and get their feedback. Because at the end of the day, the users are the ones who are using our system, not the designer or the client. So you have to get users' feedback in each and every step of your design process. And then we have to try to make the color combination wisely in the best way for the user's perception. So when we are choosing color combinations, let's say, for example, you can go to sites like Dribble. Let's go to Dribble for, I want to show you an example. So let's say we have selected this use interface. So the color combination they have selected is black and light green color. So if you want to get the color codes or hex codes, you can easily download it from here by using their design tool, and you can match different colors. Like you can Google for color combinations, and you can see how different colors matching with each other, the percentages, and choose your colors wisely when you are doing your design. And next we are going to discuss about color theory. Give me a minute. Okay, in color theory is a collection of rules and guidelines which designers use to communicate with users through appealing color schemes in visual interfaces. So here I have added the infographic from Interaction Design Foundation. Interaction Design Foundation is another governing body that offer interaction design and UX design certificates. They have free courses as well. You can refer to their website to get more understanding about UX and read particular blog posts and so on. So these are the primary colors as we know, and these are secondary colors, and these are the all colors in color wheel. So you can clearly see we have yellow color here and red and blue, and the shades and different colors that associate with those primary colors in between in our color wheel. So in the monochromic color wheel, we use specifically the yellow color, and analogs we use lighter green, yellow, and lighter orange. Complementary means we are using colors in different sides of the color wheel. For example, for yellow and purple. If it is red, we are using green color and so on. Split complementary, we are using, if we are using yellow color, we can use blue or pink color. If you are using this purple color, we can use light green or light orange. Triad, we can use yellow color and blue as well as red. So you can choose any of these colors, but the color scheme, the arrows should pointed in each of these. So you can select your colors easily. In here, in the tetradic layout, we can choose colors in XY axes. So for example, if you're selecting yellow, we can select purple. If you're selecting orange, we can select lighter version of blue, which comes in between blue and green. So here's the difference between RGB and CMYK. So RGB is also consists with red, green, blue. So it is used in digital and web media, whereas CMYK are used for print media. So when you're choosing colors, when you have like a print interface in your mobile application or anything, you have to choose your colors wisely. Otherwise, the colors you won't represent in your prints won't display there. So make sure you choose your colors according to your use case. Now we are going to talk about monochromic layout. So it is based on one color with various tones and shades of it. The monochromic harmony is always a winning choice, since it's hard to make a mistake and create a distasteful color scheme. So in the monochromic color scheme, if you go with the yellow color, you then select some color next to that particular color in your color wheel. So you don't get conflicted colors or distasteful colors by doing the monochromic color theme selection. In here, the main color is blue color, the background color, and they have selected lighter version of blue and with the white color accent. So you can see that it is very contrasting the colors, the readability is there, and the message they want to give is also something similar to space. So blue color is representing sky, and they give the message that they wanted to give, but using the monochromic color scheme. Here we're using analogs. To create analogs harmony, you need to use colors to each other on the color wheel. So this type of color scheme is used for the design where no contrast is needed, including the background of web pages of banners. So this design, we added it again. So it has the similar colors like these three colors in the color wheel in their design. Complementary. In the complementary design, the complementary scheme is the mix of colors placed in front of each other on the color wheel. This scheme is opposite to analogs and monochromatic since it aims to produce high contrast. For example, the orange button on the blue background is hard to miss in any interface. So as I said earlier, the orange button in blue interface or red button in green interface. So these are complementary color pairings. Those used in infographics or gaming interfaces and so on. Here is split complementary. This scheme works similar to previous one, but it employs more colors. For instance, if you choose the yellow color, you need to take two other colors which are adjacent to its opposite color, meaning blue and pink. So if you select yellow color here, the direct color is purple. So you have to select two colors next to it. So we are selecting blue and pink. So in this layout, we have selected yellow color, this color as the main layout, and shades of blue and green as the icon colors. Triadic, when the design requires more colors, you can try triadic scheme. It is based on 3 separate colors which are equidistant on the color wheel. To save the balance in which this scheme, it is recommended to use one color as a dominant and other as accents. So the colors in similar, should have similar distance. We can select 3 colors. So, but you have to make sure that the application, the use case is required more colors because triad is mostly used in printing scenarios, advertising and so on. So if you are using it in mobile application or any web application UI, you have to make sure that you really need to use that much of colors to gain users' attention. It depends on your user research as well as their requirements. Specifically this, if you're developing a kids application, stickers or something like that, you can use many colors as you want. Double complementary colors. The tetradic color scheme is for the experienced designers since it is most difficult to balance. It employs 4 colors from the wheel, which are complementary pairs. If you connect the points on the chosen colors, they form a rectangle. The scheme is hard to harmonize, but if you do everything right, the result may be stunning. So it is also based on users' requirement. You have to make sure you get the correct colors, correct 4 colors, and it will give you a stunning UI. But most of the UIs these days, they don't use these 4 colors. They use one accent color and use black or white as the main color. So you have to make sure you identify your user needs and understand your users before selecting your color combination for the UI. So these are some color tools and applications we can use to select color themes and match them. So number 1, we can select different color schemes based on your requirement, and you can generate different color schemes and make color palettes for your designs. It can be 5 color or 3 color or any number of colors you require to do your design. And here also we have another application that used to pick colors for different color systems, different systems, and here also we have an application to select different colors. So gradients in UI design. So if you are designing an application and you want to contrast and you want to give a message to users by using different color gradients or different color background or a background image, you can go for that, but you have to make sure you are addressing correct set of audience, and also you have to choose your colors wisely to match your actual theme. So in here we have Instagram logo. It has gradient, gives the icon more depth and dimension, and it is also choosing colors similar to each other. For example, we have blue color here and purple and pink color background here, and also orange color here. So gradients help create something new and unexpected. And also, even a tiny element such as a logo can be exciting if you apply a gradient to it. So now, if we take Instagram, for example, their target audience, most of them are young people. So they like these kind of colors. If we compare it with something like LinkedIn, so if LinkedIn use this kind of a gradient layout, they won't communicate with their target users properly. So you have to be wise and select the color gradients based on your users. here by using gradients, we can empathize certain elements. Take a look at a home page example below, this one. Text message and call to action buttons plays a key role in this layout, and gradient background visually prioritize the elements. Okay, the gradient background we are using, most of the applications these days, if you go to a website like Stripe, let's open Stripe. They have a gradient background, so they want to like give a bold message and improve the readability of the foreground text. So that is why they are using this color. Gradients are perfect when you need to draw people's attention to a certain area. So when we scan this website, for example, we first scan from left to right. So they want us to read this text and this description. So that is why this gradient, the animation is there. So the gradient background is widely used in most of the applications today. I think you also have come across different websites that use gradient as background. There are different types of gradients. So if we open our Figma and draw a box here, for example, and open gradient, we have linear gradient. Let's select two different colors. This one. Okay. So we have one type of a gradient, linear. So in linear gradient, we use it to create a linear gradient. You need to specify two colors or two tints of the one color. Radial gradients are similar to linear gradients, except they radiate out from a central point. As a designer, you can dictate whether the central point should be any and specify the size of the gradient. So again, in Figma, if we select radial, it will give you this kind of a centered gradient where you can customize according to your requirement. The conic gradient is similar to a radial gradient. Both are circular and use the center of the element as the source point for color stops. However, for a radial gradient, the color stops emerge from the center of the circle, while the conic gradient places color stops around the circle. So if we select angular gradient in Figma, this the two colors we have selected, it's stop contrasting to each other. So if you have that kind of requirement, you can select angular gradient. And in Figma, we have another diamond shape gradient where you can create a diamond shape colors by choosing different colors. You can also add multiple colors here by doing this. Let's say we want to create linear gradient. I'm choosing colors randomly just to demonstrate it to you. So you can create it like this. These are some tips for creating an impressive gradient. So first thing is, don't choose colors randomly. The red to green gradient looks dirty. So if you choose these two colors, even if it is like in opposite side of the color wheel, you have to choose the colors wisely. Otherwise, you will get this kind of a gradient. it is better to use either analog colors, colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, or shades of the same color. So this color scheme looks good when comparing to this, and you can either use these three colors or shades of these colors. If you're using purple color, you can use shades of purple with different hex codes. And also we have to make sure we create smooth transition. When we compare these two images here, you can clearly see the top one has a smooth transition when comparing to the other one. So you always have to make sure you give a smooth transition to the colors you are selecting. The transition between colors should be really smooth. Ideally, the user shouldn't notice the place where one color flows to another. So in here, we can't clearly see where the colors differentiate from each other. And in here, we can clearly see the line. So it is a bad use of the color gradients. Take a look at the following example. You can notice a line that separates two colors. This line creates the impression of an abrupt transition. So this is what you don't do, and this is what you should do when using gradients and smooth transitions. Convey emotion or mood. Color evokes emotional responses. We can use this color property to connect with the audience on a deeper level. So in here, we communicate bright, bold colors, stir positive feelings. So if you go to applications like Honey app, where you can find coupons, or even banking applications, so they use these kind of gradient to convey positive feelings among users. Even here, the different airlines or different applications can use this kind of a color gradient to convey the similar message to users. Message is to give them positive feelings when they are booking their flight or any other transaction they are making. Deep tones bring calm. So in here, in this particular application, they are using deep tones, but in light versions of it. So in here also, we can clearly see and we can contrast between each of these cards easily without getting distracted with the colors or the graphic. And these are some things you should avoid. You have to avoid acid colors. Acid is an original context referred to a bitter taste. Acid colors rarely work well in user interfaces because they demand too much attention. So if you don't have solid design skills, it's safer to avoid using them in your UI, specifically when your design is a gradient. So you have to make sure you avoid acid colors, because these, when users look into your screen, the first thing they will notice is this kind of a background or this kind of a graphic or image you are using. So it won't give them the message they want to, you want to give them. If you want to ask them to read your text or do particular, press on particular call to action button, you have to avoid using these and use the color theme and select colors according to what you want users to do in your application. So it is a good practice to avoid this altogether when you are starting with your UX career. But when you have experience, when you can handle these kind of layouts and colors, you can use them effectively. So use gradient to direct the eye to a certain part of the screen. So as I discussed earlier in here, the Stripe want us to read their main heading, and also the header part and everything is readable, and we are eventually putting our focus on the areas that they want us to have our attention on. So we can use gradients to create focal points. It is specifically helpful for smaller elements such as call to action buttons. So they have this gradient background here and call to action button here. So when we scanning through this, we can easily read these texts and press on these call to action buttons without any uh, any distractions or anything. Here also, it has a contrast background, has a button background. So we can click on it easily because we can, at a glance, we can identify it is a call to action button, and what we can do is only clicking on it. Don't forget about color contrast. So if you are using gradients, no matter how beautiful your gradient or design is, you should not forget about accessibility. Always check the color contrast ratio. So in here, the readability is very low. You can hardly read it. But if you use white color or contrasting color text as a foreground color, you can easily read it without any issue. So you can use these kind of specific tools to increase readability or increase color contrast between different layouts, specifically text and the background. So if we go here, you can select different colors and check the contrast ratio of these different colors. And I have added accessibility guidelines in our Google Classroom as well. If you go to first week, yeah, here, if you go to these two, you can select, like, let's say we are going to test our design for colorblind or visually impaired people who can't see some colors. What we can do is we can get the design link from our website or anywhere, and we can put it here in the top tab design, and we can select the color filter based on the impairment that blind people have. So if we select this, it will show us what users will see. So we have to choose our colors accordingly, but it will based on our target users. So you have to understand our target users before we do the designs. You can use this tool as well to increase readability and see the contrast ratio between two colors. Okay, dark mode. Is it clear up until now? You can send a message on groups chat if you have any questions up until now. Okay, now we are going to talk about dark mode. So what exactly is the dark mode? So if you interact with certain applications, especially if you interact with Spotify, they actually came up with only dark mode. They only had dark color background and green color accent when they first launching their application. So it was actually was very popular among users, specifically because they can contrast and they can select their music or albums easily by having that kind of a layout and that kind of a background. So users, like all other companies and everyone, uh, learn from that, and they added dark mode to their application as well. So it is helping to save users battery on specific device, as well as I said earlier, it can reduce users carbon footprint by emitting less brightness and so on. So the dark mode is a night friendly color theme that mainly focuses on using dimmed gray colors for surface and UI elements. Darker colors reflect less light while still providing a great reading experience. As a design pattern, a dark mode is usually living across the user interface as a toggle. The dark mode is designed to be supplemented to the system default or light theme. So, for example, I think I don't have to show it to you. So any design, any system have this dark mode or auto mode. So if we are using auto mode, it will show us lighter screen in daytime, and it will automatically change to dark theme in the night time. So you can use toggle to do that if you want to manually change it to dark theme. Most of the website nowadays and the browsers support light and dark theme. So even when we do the design on Figma, I told you last week, we can create designs for light and dark modes by giving users a toggle button. So for example, here I have a dark mode true or false. So when the user add an asset, let's say, let's add this icon. So it has a dark mode. So if you're changing it, it will automatically change the color to light and dark mode. So it is always good practice to design your UI in both light and dark modes, because most of the application, most of the developers and clients and even users prefer to have both dark and light modes in their applications. Dark theme is a good marketing move for making your UI stand out among similar brands or products. The deep, heavy backgrounds can become a perfect addition to your brand visuals. You have a competitive advantage as well if you have both light and dark theme implemented on your system. Dark mode is as a feature can help reduce eye strain when operating your product. Specifically, if your product is heavy with text, a dark mode can help enhance your users' retention and focus. So if you take, for example, let's say now you are using your mobile phone in the night without any like lights. So if you have a light colored screen, light theme, it will be very harmful for your eyes, and even you won't be able to read when comparing to having a dark screen. So you have to give you can reduce users' eye strain and give them access to more readability as well as options, and give the users retention and focus if you give them a dark color background rather than white color. Dark mode can potentially save your phone energy because it don't have to like light up the whole screen and digital dots. So it can save your phone energy as well. Dark mode consumes 6 times less power on your screen by emitting less light, and as a result can prolong your lifespan and usage time. And also it heavier to read against dark surfaces. So if you remember, there was a device called Kindle Reader, for by Amazon to read books. So they also introduced this dark color background and white color text layout. So the users actually come up with like the readability and the application using time improved when they had black color background when comparing to the paper background like white color background. And it is also healthier to read against dark surfaces. Here we discuss about plan your color use. So avoid or limit white or pure black colors. You can use pure black as a background for dark mode. So when you are using colors, like if you are developing an application, always make sure the foreground colors, especially the cards or stickers or any other foreground thing you have in your application, have something different from the pure black color. The pure black is a hash 6 zeros. So you always have to make sure you're using that color in your background only. Background of the application only. You have to come up with different shades for the foreground color. Brand your dark color. To make your dark mode more unique, use a much darker version of your primary brand color as the surface. So in here we have the background color in hash 1A, whereas the title also, whereas the box also has the same background color. So it has no contrast. When comparing to the right-hand side one, it has more contrast and it shows that the sticker or a card when comparing to the left-hand side one. So you have to make sure you use different shades of colors to enhance visibility and readability of your application. And you have to also reduce the color saturation. Avoid fully saturated colors in dark mode. So if you are using dark mode and if you are adding saturated colors like this, blue color or yellow color, it has no use of choosing the dark color in first place. So you also have to make sure you gray out these colors and you don't use saturated colors as your accent colors in your design. In here we have like saturated green color, a saturated blue color. Here we have like grayed out colors, which is easy to eye if you are reading in dark mode. Here we discuss about communication depth. Use a scale of lighter colors to translate the elevation. Avoid using shadows in dark mode. So in dark mode, you should not use shadows. Specifically, you should use like lines, border colors to contrast from your background. So this is lower elevation and high elevation. So if you using lower elevation, you should use border colors and background colors to match your background main background color and make a contrast between each and every element you are using. And the next one is ensure your dark mode contrast. We are discussing here about dark mode. Just as the light should meet the minimum required WCAG standards to ensure all text is legible with enough contrast, you can use plugins to check your contrast design right in place. So in here, the contrast of the title and even the body is very low, whereas on the right-hand side, you can see the contrast is high. You can easily read without any issue when you're glancing to the right-hand side of your design. Design light mode first. So while bringing your designs from light to dark mode, keep all the visual cues in place. Don't ignore or remove some colors for the sake of dark theme, not to confuse users. So this, so like we discussed earlier in our sessions, we have to do mobile first designs as a good practice. There's another good practice to light mode first. So if you use light mode first, we have more creativity. We can choose our colors wisely and so on. So after we do the light mode design, we can play with our dark mode and change the colors accordingly to match our branding and our use case. So always make sure you use light mode first and don't ignore or remove the colors you have chosen in the sake of dark mode. So you can use these plugins in Figma to create layouts in dark mode and compare your light mode and dark mode screens. So here is an example of light and dark mode designs. So in left hand side you can see the light mode, and on the right hand side dark mode design. So you can compare the colors and the colors they have chosen for the typography as well as background and foreground colors in both light and dark modes. And there's another good practice to use base colors to design dark mode. So if you are using dark mode, you have to use these colors. If you're using base dark colors as background, so typography or the buttons should be in these colors. You can use pure white or like lighter version of white and so on. So to make it predictable, turning your light themed UI to a dark side, use a set of base or neutral colors with the same transparency value from the very start of your project. So when you are designing an application, even if it is a mobile or a desktop web application, it is always a good practice to start with a design system. So I discussed it with you last week, how we can do atomic design and how we can start with atoms and then move on to molecules and finally come up with our species, which is the final design. So always make sure you follow atomic design principles so you can easily go back and forth with the dark and light mode, and also if there's any changes, you only have to change those atoms and molecules. You don't have to touch your final high fidelity prototype to any design changes. And also it will give you the advantage, like if you change it in one place, it will change it in all your designs. So otherwise, if you don't do that, you might go to each and every instance of that design and change it manually. So always make sure you use atomic design as I mentioned earlier, and take some time to design atoms and molecules, and then go to your final design and do the design by using those elements you have created. Here, another thing is don't overuse dark mode. If you're making a product for a Mac Windows users, it's good to adapt your product theme to sync with users' current theme automatically. This can help users to feel at home, making a great first impression. So for example, if we are using light mode, I can show it to you. So let's say I'm using auto mode here. So I have light mode. So if I go to a website that use dark mode and light mode, so if I load this website, my current system color mode is light scheme. So it uses light, it shows us light version of the website. Let's say if I select the dark mode of the website, dark mode of my mobile, like my application, the website automatically changes its colors to dark mode. So we give what users expecting it to behave. So I'm changing it back to light mode and it will come back to light mode. So users can feel like home, so they don't get confused, because otherwise they might have to change and toggle the colors in between. But right now, if they prefer dark mode, we are showing the website or the application in dark mode. If they prefer light mode, we are showing it in light mode. So we don't have to add a toggle button or anything. We can just show based on their requirement. These are some useful resources you can follow. So material design is Google's design library. So you can use these material design guidelines to follow and how to design dark mode in your mobile application or any material design web application you do. this is dark UI inspirations in Dribble. So you can follow this when you are doing your next design. If it is specifically require dark mode, especially these visualization and crypto applications and emerging technology applications, they always prefer dark color because users might have to look into those visualizations for longer time. So they won't get bored or they won't get distracted with the large contrasting colors or white color. So read these and like get an idea and do your designs accordingly. And then Figma tokens. So if you're using Figma tokens, it can help you to customize and adapt your design systems in multiple themes. For example, you can design dark color or light color themes. So you can install that token and see how it works on your elements on Figma. Contrast is also a plugin that help you to check the contrast ratio of background and foreground elements. For example, if you have background color like this, it will help you to improve the readability and how contrasting your foreground colors or text should be. So you can use that kind of application as well. So we will take a 10-minute break now. If you have any questions, you can send me as a chat message. And we will meet in 10 minutes and discuss about typography. And then we are going to Figma to complete our Figma practical design. Okay, let's continue. Let me share my screen. Okay, we were talking about dark mode, and now we have to discuss about typography. So typography is a design discipline that involves the use of typefaces and the organization of those typefaces to create readable, usable, and ideally user-friendly interfaces for experience. Typeface, also known as a font family, the word typeface comes from the physical print and refers to the faces of physical letters block. Typeface is composed of fonts. So most used typefaces are like you can use Google fonts in your design. If you're using Figma, it is already embedded in Figma, all the Google fonts. So you can use Google fonts, and also there is a thing called Typekit, which is handled by Adobe. So you can either use that or Google fonts. So one thing about Google fonts is it is free, whereas Typekit fonts you have to pay. So I also added few details on our class, like Google Classroom, regarding typefaces. I think I discussed last week as well. Let's see. Week 1. Okay, it is here. Yeah, type scale. So in here, it will help you to decide on the base font and get the sizes for other fonts you want to use in your hierarchy. For example, if your font is Poppins or any other, and the base size is 14, it will show you the base size is 14 and the H6 size should be 17.5 and H1 should be 42.72. So you can easily get the sizes for your fonts by using. Okay. Now these are some popular typefaces. Once again, I got it from the Interaction Design Foundation website. So this is actually default font they used in iOS devices up until 2016. Right now they are using different font. So all these fonts, if you are using, if you are a designer or even a developer, you get to use to these font and font faces. If you're familiar with different font faces, it will be easier for you to do like implement them without any further research. So one thing you can do, I'm sorry, you can go to Google Fonts. And you can select different typefaces by searching from here, and here we have fonts here, and you can see how the typefaces looks like, and is it matching with our theme, is it giving the right feeling for the users we want to give. So all these things, like we discussed about color, now we are discussing about typography. All these things should match with the user requirement, so you have to select the colors and fonts according to your users requirement and the feelings you want to give them when they are using your particular application. So fonts are specific weights within a typeface. You choose a typeface, you use a font. So if you choose the typeface, for example, this is a complete typeface. So all the letters in that typeface will displayed here. Like they have all these like different typefaces, like icons, all the English letters, symbols, and everything. So if you select this, you select typeface, and inside the typeface we have fonts. If you were to select Georgia as your typeface, then Georgia, bold, italic, and regular would be your fonts. So in here also, if you select this quicksand as your font, Google gives the light, regular, bold, semi-bold versions as your fonts. If you want to install like a custom font in your Figma, what you can do is you have to download the Figma desktop application to your computer, and then you can install your fonts that you use to normally. If you're using Windows or a Mac OS system, you can install it locally and use it in your Figma. But Figma supports all the Google fonts currently available, so you won't have to worry about it much. Character and an individual element, most commonly a single letter, number of a punctuation mark. So inside typeface, we have font and characters. So font is a like bold or a light or any particular set of fonts, and the character is one single individual element within that font. Weight, height, and size. This refers to the thickness, length, and overall size of a typeface. You can experiment with different weights and sizes and use the variations judiciously on your interface to break the monotony on long passages of text or to direct attention to a specific elements. So for example, in here also, we have bold the main bullet point, and we have text in different thickness of font. So you can give users attention to certain area by selecting different weights of text and different typefaces and different size of text and their variations. And the letter spacing or tracking, the distance between the widest point of each character. Tracking specifically refers to the uniform increase or decrease in a horizontal space between characters. So if we go here, let's say we type something. Say we type this, and we'll increase the font size for you to visible it. So this is letter spacing. So if we increase it, it will increase the space between each individual letter element. So I will make it 0 again. Alignment refers to how text is positioned. There are 4 main alignments: left, right, centered, and justified. So I think you already familiar with that. Even in word processing software like Microsoft Word, they have same. So in Figma, we have 3 here, and we can access more the 4th alignment here, which is justified. Typography principles. So using more than 3 different fonts make a website look unstructured and unprofessional. Keep in mind that too many type sizes and styles at once can also wreck any layout. So if you're using too many typefaces in similar design, it will harm your design aesthetics, as well as if you're developing a web application or mobile application and using CDNs to load those fonts, it will slow down your website speed as well. So always make sure you are using least number of fonts. Ideally the two typefaces, but most of the times, most of the designers use one type space. Specifically, if there's no particular if it is a website or any marketing application, we can use two typefaces. But if you are developing an application for users to sign in and use it, you can use one typeface and two max. And also you have to try to use standard fonts. So font embedding services like Google Fonts or Typekit have a lot of interesting fonts that can give your design something new, fresh, and unexpected. So what can go wrong? Actually, this approach has one serious problem. Interesting fonts can distract users from reading. Users can spend time thinking about the fonts that designers use rather than reading the text. So if you go to Google Fonts again, here, some of the, let's say, some of the most used fonts are these Roboto and even Open Sans and Lato, Poppins, and so on. So all these has maximum readability when comparing to these kind of fonts. So always make sure you choose the fonts to match your design, as well as be vigilant about the readability of your font and typefaces as well. Limit line length. Having the right amount of characters on each line is key to the readability of your text. It shouldn't be your design that dictates the width of your text. It should also be the matter of legibility. So if your typefaces, if your content is longer, most of the users won't read the whole paragraph or whole text that you're putting on your interfaces. So you have to make sure to limit your typography and improve the readability and give the message to users with less number of characters. So for example, if we take Figma, and it has a tool that you can truncate the number of text that you can use. So you can use this truncate text option, and it won't show the like other text that go out of your element. So you can use the truncate text option, and it will show you these three dots. So users will be able to identify that there is more to read. If they like to read more, they can click on that particular element and read more. You should have around 60 characters per line if you want a good reading experience. Having a right amount of characters on each line is key to readability of your text. So if you have a mobile application or anything, you have to make sure you have the right amount of characters. The 60 is the best practice. So you have to make sure you have something around 60 to improve the readability and the effectiveness of your application when you're dealing with your users. Here, we have added how it looks like in the UI with different size of different number of characters on x-axis. So 0 is here, 40 text is too narrow, and 60 is the ideal, and 90 is too much. So even when looking at this screen, the most of the users will read this text rather than going to a too wide screen. So this is too narrow. We are like not using our real space wisely. So we can use ideal range of 60 or something in between. For mobile devices, you should go for 30 to 40 characters per line. Below is an example of two sites viewed on a mobile device. The first one uses 50 to 75 characters per line, optimal number of characters per line for print and desktop, while the second one uses optimal 30-40 characters. So this one, it is really hard to read in mobile screen, and this Washington Post website is easy, and even the typeface they are using, it is easier to read. So you have to make sure you design for mobile first, and also you have to do your cross-device and cross-browser compatibility tests before you ship your product. So always make sure you use 30 to 40 lines in mobile screens, and in desktop maximum is 60 or somewhere in between 60-65 you can use. Choose a typeface that works well in various sizes. Users will access your site from devices with different screen sizes and resolutions. Most user interfaces require text elements of various size, button copy, field labels, sections, headers, etc. So what you can do is you can design the application for various screen sizes on Figma and give typefaces their size as well. So if you are using font size, let's say, let's do, if you're going to design a desktop application, this is the desktop size. Now, if you are going to design a mobile application phone, let's say this, we are taking this. So those are two different sizes, but you can't, let's add our typography here. So if we add our typography here, and I will truncate it. Size is you have to change the mobile font size according to the requirement. You can leave the mobile application through prototype or even using your phone and change it according to match the best readability. You can always always use the application I just showed you, the typeface applications, to match font sizes between different devices and their hierarchical sizes, like from H1, heading 1 to heading 6, as well as paragraphs. It is important to choose a typeface that works well in multiple sizes to maintain readability and usability in every size. So here we have different sizes. So the body font size is regular 14. This is the same typeface tool I showed you earlier. It has different sizes and different versions of text we can use in our designs. Here are some good practices when dealing with typography. Avoid all caps. All cap text mean text with all letters are capitalized is fine in contexts that don't involve reading, such as acronyms or logos. But when your message involves reading, don't force your users to read all caps text. So if it is, if you require like particular use case to show the contrast, for example, if it is a short text or a brand name or a logo, you can use all caps, but for the content, like text-rich content, you always have to use sentence case or lowercase letters in your designs. All capital print greatly retards the speed of scanning and reading in comparison with lowercase types. So if you're using all caps, it don't have much readability when comparing to lowercase or sentence case letters. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So if you compare this with the about text, I think you can see the readability of the sentence case typeface has more efficiency rather than reading all these letters in bold. Next one, don't minimize spacing between lines. In typography, we have a special term for spacing between two lines, which is leading or line height. So let's show it by example. So if you select this and increase line height like this, if you have more line height, it will reduce the readability of text. But if you have less line height, again, it won't be that much readable. So you have to put the ideal line height for all of your text and make sure it is readable. So let's say if they have auto option here, yeah, auto is the ideal one. So you have to use that to improve the readability of your typefaces. By increasing the leading, you increase the vertical white space between lines of text. As I did in Figma, we increase the white space between each text lines, generally improving readability in exchange for screen real estate. So we call screen real estate to the screen sizes. Like here we have so much real estate because we don't have any elements. But you have to make sure you don't use much of your real estate because you have to put your other elements as well, such as buttons, images, and so on. So make sure you use ideal line height, line height in your text when you're using it in your UI designs. As a rule, leading should be about 30% or more than a character height for a good readability. So for example, let's say if I put 100% here, not here, line height 100%, percentage. So it is not that much readable. So if you are putting auto, in Figma, it will give you auto best possible readability for all the text use. So always make sure you use auto in particular case. If you want to increase the line height, you can use you can increase it, but always make sure you use auto in default by default. So this is good, this is too much, this is too tight. Properly using white space between paragraphs has been proven to increase comprehension up to 20%, as pointed out by Dmitry Fadiev. So even in digital reading, like if you are reading a book or if you are reading a digital product or a blog post, if it has this kind of a text, like a good line height, it will improve the readability and you can read faster and understand what it is saying, rather than you have this kind of a too much or too tight layouts. The skill of using white space lies in providing your users with a digestible amount of content, then stripping away extraneous details. So you have to make sure you give users like information in digestible chunks, so they don't lose their attention in between lines, and also in too tight text, they won't be able to read and understand it properly. In here, we have text hierarchies like heading, subheading, and paragraph. So on right-hand side, we have some spaces in between those. So right-hand side layout is more readable when comparing to one with less line height and spacing. Make sure you have sufficient color contrast. So I think we discussed this last week as well. So you have to select colors according to your design. So for example, if you have white color layout, you have to select contrasting foreground color for the text. So it should be more darker than this. And if you have dark layout, you have to select much lighter color than this. So below design is ideal, and it is readable as well as a recommended ratio for background and foreground colors. You can use the tools I mentioned earlier in this presentation to check the contrast values of your background and foreground layouts that you're using in application. So here is a one application you can use and select fonts for your applications, wordmark.it, and also you can go through Dribble and particular application, Dribble or Behance, and understand what is the font that particular website is using. One way you can do is, now let's say, for example, we have this font here. So you can do a screenshot like this and select the font. Now you have the font here. Now there's a tool called what the font. If you want to copy font from some layout and identify what font is they're using, you can use this tool and you can upload that image. Identify fonts, and it will show you the similar fonts to the font that we are using. So this is not a Google font, so that is why they're asking you to buy these fonts from different font service providers. So, but you can use same tool to identify different fonts that you want to copy or you want to use in your designs. Here we have branding guidelines for style guides. Branding guidelines are clearly defined rules and standards that communicate how your brand should be represented to the world. Branding guidelines help businesses ensure consistency and demonstrate what the company is, what it does, and what it does, and rule book that centralizes the overall look and feel of your brand identity. So if you go to Google and let's search for Apple branding guidelines. So every company have like brand and identity guidelines. So this is Apple's brand identity guidelines. So they tell how we should use their logo, how we should use their text and so on. So this is how we should use, what kind of a backgrounds we should use, all white signatures and so on. So these are the minimum sizes. So we have to give our, if client come up and ask us to do the branding guideline, we have to make sure we create a documentation like this and give them because they can then give it to their like advertisers and everyone to how to use their brand in particular websites or advertisements or social media or anywhere. So you can refer to this kind of branding guideline. I will add few in Google Classroom as well. So you will have a better understanding. If someone asks you to do a branding guideline for their brand, you can follow this and do it accordingly. And when comparing to branding guideline, a style guide is a document that a UX designer creates to document a growing and ever-evolving set of design guidelines that arise from the design process. So style guide, for example, let's say you are designing a new system on Figma. So you have these kind of elements. So if you're following atomic design, in the atoms section, you can specify what sizes you should use. What is the minimum icon size? What is the minimum image size you should use? And fonts and so on. You can add these, and the users or new designers or developers should have to follow those guidelines when they are producing your application. So you have to make sure you add a style guide in each of your designs you do as a UI UX design. And then we are going to talk about why is it important for any product. So style guide or a branding guideline is important because it improves consistency. Let's say now you don't have a branding guideline or a style guide. So one particular designer will design your logo or use your logo in a particular way with different color, and another one will use in different color, different foreground, background colors, and different sizes. so it doesn't have that much of a consistency. So if you have a branding guideline or a style guide, you can tell them that this is the minimum size, this is the maximum size, these are the colors that you should use, and it will help to improve the consistency of your designs, of your brand. And it will also have to define standards and usage. You can give the design standards, as I said earlier. So you can tell them these are the standards. So you should not like scale it more than this. You should not use this kind of a color. You should not use this background color behind our logo and so on. And third point, it will be easier for the front-end developers to write their CSS and HTML by referencing all the important information and data. Find hex codes for colors easily. Reuse UI components, SVG files, and quickly find and extract any other assets that they may require. So in Figma, if you are creating a design system, so branding guidelines and style guides will help users, front-end developers especially, to create their components. For example, if a front-end developer is using React, Vue.js, or even Angular, they will be able to come to your Figma page and go to this layout, and it will show all the information they require as layout. If it is an SVG, it will show up here and so on. So even here, it will show the layout sizes and the styles that they want to add. So component creation will be easier if you use atomic design and if you use style guides in your designs when you are doing next time. Hex codes, colors easily, and you reuse UI components, SVG files, I showed it to you, and quickly find and extract any other asset that they may require. So they don't have to go to these final designs. They can go to these atomic designs and get all these components and save them as components in their React or any other front-end development framework. And then it will help the UX designers to craft responsive layouts that fit the brand style. So when you have a style guide, it will be easier for the designers as well. So they can reuse all these elements in their new designs. So for example, let's say they are designing an application for mobile as well as web and everything. So every time, if they don't have a branding guideline or a style guide, or these components here, they might have to drag and drop, or they might have to create it all together again. So it is always a good practice and good idea to maintain a brand guideline and style guide. Even if it takes some time in the beginning, it will help you in the end, specifically when you are like iterating your designs as well as giving it to front-end designers to code your application. Then the social media managers can consult the document to use the same exact typeface, color palette, and graphic assets to create a consistent social media feed. So if you see most of the companies, uh, even in Sri Lanka, banks and every brand have branding guidelines. So they have specific rules that how their logo should be used, how they are, what is the typeface they should use, and so on. So it will help to maintain consistency, and also media managers or advertisers can use these guidelines and create consistent layout without worrying about changing their brand guidelines or so on. Here are some UX laws. The collection of laws or design standards that designers must take into account when thinking and improving the user experience are called UX laws. Number one is Hicks law. Hicks law states that users spend more time making a decision based on the number of and complexity of choices. So it means that more choices you give, more complex your system is. So for example, let's say you have two choices to make. You can easily eliminate one and make a choice. So if you have 10 more choices, like if you have 10 choices to make, it will take some time. Sometimes most of the users won't make a choice at all. So always make sure that you give users what is necessary. Otherwise, you will complex their decision making. It will complex their decision making, and they will spend more time to make decision. The more choices you present to your users with, the longer it will take them to reach a decision. So you will be able to make their user flow easy by giving them maximum 2 decisions to make. So that is Hicks law. If you have multiple tasks to complete within limited time, you will take more time making a decision compared to if you have only 2 tasks to complete. So if you, so for example, you have seen that, for example, let's say, so this is an application we designed and developed recently. So I will show it to you. So in here we have an application, we have 3 steps. So if it is taking more than 1 step, if you are giving them more than one thing to choose from, it is a good practice to use this kind of a step layout. So if they fill these data, they can go to the next step and so on. So the step layout is a good practice if you have more choices to give to the users. But if you can eliminate, like if you can give them only 2 choices, the minimum choices you give, the less time they take to make a decision. So it will be easier for you to guide them to their end goal without much effort. Reduce the options for time critical task. The more choices you give a user, the longer it takes for them to make a decision. So how are you feeling today? If you give these kind of like so many options, they won't be able to select. They don't know how they feel. If they're feeling awesome or amazing, they can't differentiate between them. But this layout, awesome, good, not so good, bad, they can easily select what they feel, and they can go to the next section without worrying much about decision making. So here we have a menu, and if we have added so many options. So the users will take some time to read all these and make a decision what to buy. So always make sure you give them less amount of things to choose from, less amount of options. In this case, if a hotel or a company, hotel or restaurant, they won't have any other option, but they have to display all their items. But you can categorize based on what is if it is a chocolate based, you can categorize like that, and you can give your users options to choose from easily rather than showing all their products in same layout. In here also, one click to buy option. So here, if they hover over any element, we have add to cart button. So it will be easier for them to add it to their cart without going inside and read it. And in here also, if they go to product, we can add to cart or buy now. So even sites like Amazon or even Daraz have this kind of a layout. You can like straight add to your product even when you are browsing the products, not in the detail view, product listing. And even Quora login option, they have login options. If you don't have, if you don't need to sign in using email, you can always use Google or Facebook to sign up or sign in. Break down complex processes into smaller steps. So as I mentioned earlier, here they have steps for the basic plan and company details, all this information. So if they filled basic details successfully, we give them company details and subscription plan and so on. So you have to make sure you, as we discussed earlier, we have to give users digestible small chunks. So you have to chunk your data. So when you are a UX designer, And when you have experience, about 5-6 years experience, you get to know how information architecture should work. So UX engineer is the one who design these like user flows and how we can represent data in a digestible manner for users to do their user flow easily without any roadblocks or anything. So it comes with the experience, but make sure that you don't give users too many choices to choose from. And number 3, categorize choices to make them easier to search for and identify. So in Netflix, they have different movies, like in comedies, Netflix original, and what you watched, they suggest based on what you watched and so on. So here we have Spotify layout, where you have different music genres and different artists where you can choose from. So you can categorize and make user experience easy. Highlight the recommended options. So you have seen that most of the time the no thanks button is like this without any highlight. The recommended option is highlighted. So you can give users what is the recommended option. Most of the time the users will click on it automatically without even thinking about making a decision. The second one is Fitts law. Fitts law states that the larger the distance and smaller the size of the target, the longer it will take. The larger the distance and the smaller the size of the target, the longer it takes. According to this law, fast movement and smaller targets result in greater error rates due to the speed accuracy trade-off. So when you are creating a call to action button or a call to action form, you have to make sure you highlight it, you increase the size, you have to emphasize it when comparing to other elements in your screen. So you have to create larger targets, increase the surface area of all call to action buttons, minimize movements, make some actions harder than others. So for example, let's say the smaller your target area is, the longer it takes the user to perform that action based on the distance size ratio. So for example, this call to action buttons, they are similar size to the typography and the content. But when comparing to this one, the call to action buttons and all the elements are bigger. So users clearly see that their attention should be given to these buttons. So it will make them make their process easier to make a decision and click on that button. Larger target area. So the target area here is large, so they can easily input their email address and create an account. Placing commonly used functions together reduces the cursor movement. So we can categorize and put commonly used element. This is Figma. So if we go here, we have all the frames here. We have all the shapes here. So we can use that to categorize and put commonly used elements in one place rather than giving them more cursor movements to select similar items from. In here, we have to give them like interaction. So if they're clicking on it, we have to show them that they are interacting with that particular button. We can change the state by changing the background color. We can highlight the box shadow of that. I think you have experienced it in different layouts, different applications. So yeah, that is also a good practice. And to prevent frequent accidental shutdowns on their phones, Apple makes users to swipe a slider to turn off their phone. And to resign a power off, all users have to do is a press and cancel button. The cancel button consequence doesn't compare to turning the phone off. So Apple makes it easier to accidentally press it. So for example, another example, if you use Apple Pay or Google Pay or any other application, they ask you to slide to pay rather than click on a button. So it will avoid any accidental presses. So you have to open your phone and you have to slide it according to their need. So that is how they avoid accidental button presses or accidental transactions in banking or any other application. So this is Fitts law on mobile devices. So as you know that most of the buttons, the call button or any other fingerprint button or anything is placed where your hand rests on your phone. For example, if if you are using your thumb to navigate through applications, most of the applications, for example, let's say Gmail or any other mail application have a button, the Fab button here, where you can compose a new email. So these are neutral places that users can reach with their left hand, and these are combined left and right hand, and these with the right hand. So you have to make sure you add your call to action buttons in these neutral areas rather than stretching or hard areas of the screen. So these areas are harder to reach, and these areas are easy to reach if you are a mobile user. Third one is Jacob's law. It states that when users are used to using a product, then users build their expectation around one familiar product that appears familiar. Because users spend most of their time on their sites, they expect your site to work in the same way as other sites they have already visited. So let's say you have a banking application, banking application, and the user have some expectations when they come to your application. So for example, if they want to send money, they know how they interact with another application or another scenario where they select their account and the credit receiver's account and add the amount and send. So that is the simple user flow they remember. So you always have to make sure you maintain the same user flow. Otherwise, you will like disappoint them. They won't use your application any further. So we have to understand users' expectations when they come to your system, and we have to make sure we like use the same user flow, standard user flow, all the other competitors and all the other applications are using. So another example of this is now, let's say now we have an application, we are upgrading the UI. You can't upgrade the UI completely without considering the previous UI. You have to maintain the same hierarchy, same structure, because users will get confused if they come to your application and see a different UI altogether. So you have to maintain the same UI and improve it in small steps. So here, for instance, think how Amazon's Miantra and most of the e-commerce sites behave. They follow similar patterns, similar checkout processes. Most of the mental models are almost same. This way, users will focus on their task rather than learning new models. So if we take Amazon or even Dara's application, we go to a product, we add it to cart, and then we check out. So the process is similar. So if you are giving them some other option, some other user flow, they will get confused and they won't use your application. Because most of the users, they don't like to think again about what they already learned. So you have to make sure they use same cues and use same behavior patterns for users to achieve their goals rather than giving them new user flow. Here, both the e-commerce websites using same size selection option and following the buttons and information on the right side and the image on the left. So I think you already know that most of the users, when they come to your screen, they tend to look into your left side of the screen. So if we take any heat map of a website or a mobile application, most of the clicks, most of the button clicks, or if they follow their eyeballs when they are interacting with the screen, they tend to look left-hand side top first, because that is where most of the websites, most of the application have their most important information. So we put image here on the left-hand side, and we put all the options and the properties on the right-hand side of the application. Here, a great example is designing a page with a search bar. Users are accustomed to seeing a search bar near the top of the page, often with a magnifying glass icon. So yeah, now in this, if you have a search icon or a search functionality on your design, always make sure to put the search functionality on top in the navigation bar. So users expecting it to behave in a certain way, and they expect you to put a search icon because most of the users, even Google and even the mail service provided and every the applications they interact with have the same search function in the same place. So you always have to make sure you give those cues and give those search functions or any components in the place they expect it to be. If a designer decides to place a search bar in a completely new place on the page, it can create confusion for the user. If they want to continue using your site, they have to relearn where the search bar is. It's taking extra time. So we have to avoid relearning process because most of the users don't like, even I don't like relearning if the search bar is in a different place, I don't use that site anymore. So you have to like make sure that you have your placements right where most of the applications, most of the interactions that users interact in nowadays, the websites or mobile applications, they have it. That is why the branding guidelines or the style guides are important because they provide an understanding of where the component should be and how will users will interact with it. So this is Best Buy site. They have the search bar on top, and even Amazon or anything that any product website or any search engine or everything have search bar on top, even for the mobile applications. Number 4 is Miller's law. In Miller's law, it states that an average person can only keep 7 plus or minus in their working memory. Organizing content in a similar chunks will help users to understand, process, and memorize easily. So in psychology, so for example, let's say I give you a list of 10, 10 fruits or 10 people's names. You will only be able to remember up to 7. So that is what Miller's law states. So even in UI, if you give them more than 7 choices, they can't keep it in their memory. There's too much of cognitive load for them. They won't be able to remember anything if you're giving them more than 7. So you always have to make sure giving them giving and organizing your content on in small chunks, and it will help and understand the process of memorization for the users. Here, if we display information in chunks, this way is manageable to users remember what they consumed. So if you developing or designing a dashboard visualization, always make sure you show less amount of options in one place. So at glance, the left-hand side layout is really hard to read because we have so many options, and they are hard. They find it difficult to memorize all this. So if you give them less amount of options and less amount of visualizations, it will be easier for them to memorize and compare those visualizations with each other rather than having so many options in your screen. In here also, the toggle keys are limited to 6 in the notification panel, reducing the cognitive load on the user. So if you take your Android device or an iOS device, they always give the most required options on top. And if you want more options, you can like tap further down and it will show all the options. So on sliding the notification panel, users get a view and quick panel settings where toggle keys are placed in rows and columns, making it easier for users to follow. So once again, this Miller's law and Hicks law are kind of like complementing with each other. So if you give them more option, they will get confused. So always make sure you give them less number of options. And if you are using visualization or any data, give them in organizable chunks so they can memorize and perform their actions accordingly. Breaking a checkout process into steps and creating spacing for credit card numbers. So as I said earlier, this also have 3-step layout. Customer info is the first layout, then shipping info, and finally payment selection. So if we like categorize them, if we make it into steps, it will be easier for users to follow the steps rather than giving all these in similar or same layout for the users. Here we have a sign up form with all the information in similar in the same group, and whereas the second one, for example, the sign up form will require users first name, last name, email address. We can categorize these 3 in one place, and address information in another place, and any other payment details in another place. So the categorization is also important. So the next one we are going to discuss is serial position effect. This law states that we tend to remember the first and last item in the series. There are 2 main concepts involved in the serial position effect. Number 1 is primary effect and second one is recurrence effect. In the primary effects, the tendency to recall the first item is called the primary effect because we require less processing effort in rehearsing the item. So serial position effect, we tend to remember the first and the last, most recent item. So in the recency effect, the tendency to recall the last item is called the recency effect because our working memory perceives temporary information. So the recent event and the first item. So we will remember the most recent item more than the primary item we interact with. So for example, highlight key information in the beginning and the end while placing the least important items in the middle of your sequence. So in here, we tend to remember the first and last entries. So for example, we can highlight the first one and the last call to action button to give them more readability and more control over their user flow. So NFS speedometer is on the right side and the map is on the left side in the display. So these are the most required details that they require in the gameplay. So we are putting the map on the left side and the speedometer on the right hand side, and all the other information necessary we put it in the middle. So users can easily understand where the location is and what is their speed and so on. And Instagram buttons navigation, home is on the left and the profile option is on the right side, and all the least important options are in the middle. So even here also, most important options are on left and right side, and all the other information, other things that require least attention are in the middle, in between. So serial position effect, we were discussing about that. Number 1 is maintain task relevant information within user interface. So in this is Sketch app. This is actually presentation app in macOS. So if you have that application, if you see their user interface, we have grid lines and we have page numbers on right hand side, task relevant information, and we have ruler on most right hand side. So we have categorized task relevant information within the user interface to maintain better user experience. Limit the amount of recall required. So if we select select by using sort by category, so it will show up here what we have already selected. So the users don't have to go to this sorting again to see what they have selected, because it is already visible here. They can remove the sorting or any sorting they apply by simply clicking on this X icon. Emphasize key information in the beginning and end. I think you have seen that even in websites like Apple or even Samsung, they have all the key information. We call this layout above the fold. We have all the information required. So the name and why is it important. And even at the bottom, we have this banner where it has the price and all the information needed for you to buy the product. So we have to emphasize key information in the beginning and the end. And next one, Zeigarnik effect. This happens with all of us. When we have some important task to do, and when we forget to do it, we tend to feel bad about it. This is a Zeigarnik effect. It states that we remember uncompleted and uninterrupted tasks more than the completed task. So if you go to LinkedIn or any other profile, it keep reminding you that your profile is not completed. So even the health tracker, if you have a wearable or if you are a runner or something, so it will keep tell you that you haven't achieved your daily goal or something like that. So it tend to give us that feeling that we have to complete this task. So they are using our like psychology to achieve their goal for us to fill their product details or follow their steps to complete the task. Next one Restroff effect. It is also known as the isolation effect. This effect predicts that when multiple similar objects are present, the one that differs from the rest is most likely to be remembered. So if we highlight the element like call to action to stand out from the rest design, it is easy to noticeable by the user. Like this. So we are going to discuss about wireframing and low fidelity, high fidelity prototypes next week. I'm going to stop the presentation for today. We have 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, you can ask now. And also, I will go through the Figma work I given last week in the meantime. Fatima has done the design one, and also Chamod has done this design.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, I couldn't do the flow starting point.
Okay, flow starting point, how you can do that is, you have to select your, this is Fatima, right?
Yes.
Okay, you have to select your artboard or select this artboard and then click on flow starting point. So,
But I don't have that flow starting point option in the prototype.
okay, it is visible here.
Only interactions is there, but the flow starting point is not there.
Okay, let's say it should come. It is normally, so have you can you send like share your screen? Is it possible? Hello.
I log in through my mobile phone, sir.
Okay. So I will look into it and get back to you through
Okay.
group chat.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other questions? Anyone?
Sir, it's showing now.
Okay, okay. Great. Now you have to click on the plus sign in flow starting point, and it will show you the flow. And when you click on this play button on your prototype, you can present it or you can view the prototype. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Any other questions? Previous batch, do you have any thing that you want me to cover?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I'm from previous batch. Is it okay if we follow your assignment also?
Yeah, I'm planning to give the assignment next week.
Mhm.
So I will ask the administration of the institute to give you the assignment as well. Actually, you are coming to the lectures next week as well. So I
Yeah.
will guide you through and you can submit the assignment with the present batch.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Let's ask one by one. Anjali, do you have anything to add? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Chamod?
No, sir.
Okay. Fatima?
No, sir.
Okay. Kirti, if your connection is unstable, you can send a message. Isuri?
No, sir.
Okay. How about Nuan?
All clear, sir.
Okay. Sumudu?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. I will add lecture material slides and further readings to Google Classroom as well. I will ask the administration to give the previous batch access to Google Classroom, and you can follow that. I might put the assignment there as well, but I have to finalize it. But next week I will surely give you the assignment and we can work on it and we can discuss about it after we complete the presentation for about 1.5 hours. We can discuss about the assignment. All clear, right? Okay. So that's all for today. Yeah. Do you have anything? Okay, you can send a message on WhatsApp group chat or you can even put a message on Google Classroom. I will answer. So that's it for today. Let's meet again in next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.